First week was crazy. You're a brand new missionary. You do not know how to speak Spanish in this case. And basically the mission president, or my mission president, didn't speak any English. He spoke like a tiny bit where he could be like, do you want to do this? Are you okay with this type thing? But he didn't know much, so we were kind of acting things out, which was fun. You got to learn how to describe things in new ways. And then once you got there, it's like 106 degrees all year round. And so it was like a wave of heat that rushed over you. And it was hot all the time. And in the mission that we were, we had to fly to our next area because it was so big. And so we stayed in the mission home for the first week to go through training and learn all the rules. And that was really cool because you got to know the mission president and his wife, and you're able to meet some of the other missionaries that were in the office, and you just kind of got to know the culture being in like this you're okay setting. You're not out talking to random people on the streets quite yet. So that was nice to learn the culture before you got out and served everyone. So it was loads of fun to just hang out, and we ate a lot of weird food that first week. They would take us to restaurants, and we would, like, the first thing I ever tried was intestines. Is that what it's called? Cow intestines. And it was interesting. It made me sick for a week, but it was good. It was like, so that was the first thing, and it was weird. Then after, it was totally fine, but yeah.
I remember like when I first got to Bolivia, it was so different. It was a total culture shock, and so I arrived in Santa Cruz, and all the new missionaries, we got our new companions in our area, and then the next day we all were sent out to our area. And back in the day, that was before Santa Cruz had been split into the north and south, so it was all just one big mission. And some of the areas were like way far away, man. Like you had to fly in a plane for a couple hours. And that actually ended up being one of my first areas. I went down south to this little tiny town. Like I was totally in the boonies. It was awesome. But so I had to travel down there in a plane. And my companion, he was American, and he knew what he was doing. He'd only been there for like 3 months though. So he wasn't like super like good at speaking Spanish, but I remember I was lost those first couple of days. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of like following around my companion and trying to like figure out what to do. And the first week was probably like one of the toughest, because I remember like after the first day of proselyting and knocking on doors and talking to people, we got back to the house and we got ready for bed and stuff. And I was just laying in bed and I thought to myself, like, man, how am I going to do this for 2 years? And it's kind of difficult, but I think it's just that adjustment is the most difficult. And then once you get used to it, you can just fly through it, And, that first week or so, there was a lot of just like my companion trying to teach me how to do a contact, or like he'd help me kind of like, he'd give me opportunities in the lessons to like bear my testimony, since I wasn't really that fluent at all and I wasn't sure how to like teach very well. So it was like, there were little baby steps, but I mean, whenever you start something new, that's how you have to start, just little by little.
I remember that I was super jet lagged, and I got there and I flew into the capital first, and then I went to Cochabamba, and I just thought like, man, this is not America anymore. This was my first experience outside of the United States. And so I thought, man, these people are living in little mud huts. Like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be so cool. So I just remember that. And then we went and we knocked doors. I was the only one. My group had gotten there later. And so I'd gotten there before them. And so we went and knocked doors. And we were like 0 for 20, I think. Like, it was just horrible. And I thought, man, this is going to be hard. And sure enough, it was in the richer part of the town, where not a lot of people wanted to listen anyways. Not a lot of people were home. But it was kind of like, this is the real stuff. But every time I was so excited. It didn't matter how tired I was. Didn't matter how much or how little of Spanish that I knew. I was just so excited to keep going and knocking more doors and to kind of share the gospel with them. And I didn't know much, didn't know what to say, but my companion that I was with really helped me out. And so that was the first experience I had. And I remember the very first time where I met a member family. It was who fed us, who was in charge of feeding us. And they had like this concrete table. And I thought, man, they're sacrificing so much just so we can be here. And once again, just the love that I felt from them, and they would be willing to do anything. They'd go with us to lessons, and that was my very first taste of them, and it was amazing because they were just so happy all the time. They didn't have much. They had a little TV that they would watch sometimes, and they just had each other, and it was amazing to see that they could kind of make it through with as little as they had. So it was cool to see kind of the first experience, but.